Pleasure.
And farmers in many parts of northern India burn stubble residue from the Rabi season to prepare their fields for the next sowing season. The smoke from this and the wind patterns choke much of the northern plains and, of course, Delhi every year. The Delhi government has now initiated measures under GRAP 4 to control pollution, which includes banning the entry of trucks into the state. Only trucks carrying essential commodities and essential services will be allowed. The government has made an exception for heavy goods vehicles running on clean fuel. But even as all of these measures come into place, the question is, why does stubble burning bother this area, and why does stubble burning continue every year despite so much of talk about it and so many protests against it? Take a look. Farmers lighting fire to crop residue in several parts of North India is an annual affair. The repercussions are felt across the region and especially in national capital Delhi. The end of October is also the end of the Rabi harvest season in the northern plains. Paddy residue on farms is now ready for clearing, and the easiest way for farmers to clear them seems to be stubble burning. Governments have made several efforts to educate farmers about the effects of stubble burning. Governments have also spent heavily to provide farmers with crop residue management machines. But it has not helped reduce stubble burning. The issue of stubble burning has worsened this year. Some of the reasons are an altered monsoon cycle that has resulted in late sowing of the Rabi crop. This has shortened the time farmers have before the next sowing cycle in November. The fastest and cheapest way to prepare the fields for a fresh crop cycle is to burn the residue of crops after harvest. This is stubble burning. Modern machinery also seems to be adding to the issue. Reports suggest combine machines used by farmers now leave larger stalks standing in the fields. Since they're not removed from the fields, they're not stored as fodder to feed livestock. And again, burning becomes the easiest solution for farmers. The solution lies in providing feasible alternatives to farmers so they don't burn stubble. But this remains a pipe dream. Devinder Sharma, food policy analyst, with us on the show. Dr. Naresh Trehan, CMD of Medanta, joining us this evening. Naini Jayasilan, a former Secretary Environment and Forest, Delhi government, with us. And I'm also speaking with Kailash Vastev, senior advocate in the Supreme Court. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Trehan, let me begin, with you explaining to us what this means in real terms, because it's an annual affair and we report it all of the time. The people in Delhi and in neighboring areas have also sort of become used to it, business as usual. But what is this doing long term to the health of people living in these cities?
So for the human body, this is totally disastrous because it attacks the body in several ways. And also, if you divide it up into three segments, there are those people who already have lung disease or asthma of some variety or bronchiectasis, and that this kind of air pollution, this quality of air actually triggers precipitation of asthma, of infection, of pneumonia, and we are seeing 3 times rise in those patients who are actually affected by lung disease before. The second category is those people who do not have pre-existing lung disease, but are experiencing this kind of contamination in the air, where it actually produces 3-4 things that are toxic to them. So in addition to irritating the lungs, there are noxious gases which actually get absorbed into the blood. So these are oxides of sulfur, oxides of nitrous, and oxides of carbon, that when they get absorbed into the blood, they travel through the body and create inflammation in every organ. So you can get brain headaches from the meninges being irritated. You get blood pressure rises. You can get the pancreatitis has been documented from this. So it works havoc on the human body. And then, of course, there are these children. Children are the most vulnerable, and this is a devastating thing for them and for us to allow it to happen to our children. That they breathe all this air which actually contaminates their lungs, and this is not short term. Once the carbon gets deposited into your lung, many years ago I showed the difference about while in the operating room we could see that lungs of people who lived in Himachal were like pink, baby pink, and lungs of people who lived in Delhi are actually charcoal stained.
That's
So
terrible.
this is not a myth, it is a reality. So we have to really pay attention, and I don't know
And
what
you
is
know, I just want to extend
this.
this here. We keep talking about Delhi and obsessing over Delhi. It's more cities than just Delhi. It is, Gurugram is in a bad state. There's cities across the northern part of this country which are facing varying degrees. Of course, Delhi as the national capital gets all of that attention. Let me just come to some of the reasons that we've discussed. And stubble burning is taking center stage. Of course, it's also become a matter of great political debate. Who's allowing it? What are the governments doing? Center versus state, as usual. Devendra Sharmaji, we've tried to explain at the beginning of this conversation why stubble burning takes place. Is it worse this year because of a change in sowing patterns, delayed rains? And why is there a complete failure in doing anything about it year after year?
Well, first of all, I agree entirely with Dr. Trehan when he says that it is a health havoc that the stubble burning causes. And I think we who live in Punjab also face the consequences, terrible consequences of the polluted air. And let me also tell you that the farmer, although he is responsible for putting the stubble on fire, is the one who faces immediate impact of as far as the health and environmental consequences are concerned. And he also knows it that, burning is not the right way. It impacts his family, first of all, than people anywhere else. And he is also aware that given all these, choices that he has, for instance, the government has been pushing a lot of machines. We have already 105,000 machines distributed in Punjab to take care of the stubble burning. Then on top of it, I think we have about 7,000 nodal officers, spread across to convince farmers to stop or to move away from stubble burning to other ways of handling the stubble and so on. But the fact of the matter is that the stubble burning has been going on, and this year it has gone up, as you asked, is because we had late rains, as we know, in the end of September or also in the beginning of October. That has delayed the harvest, and therefore we have gone a little beyond Diwali, coinciding with the kind of pollution that Diwali faces also. So the point I'm trying to make is that this was known, and this has been something that has been operational. If I remember correctly, when I was a young journalist myself, 30 years back, this was a problem which had begun to happen in Punjab, began to be seen in Punjab. And that was a time when the Punjab Agriculture University itself
why
was
is it
telling.
growing year on year? Why is it growing year on year? Because this year, as technology increases, information about the problem increases, but there's no solution. So this year you have live satellite images, which are showing you exactly, where the fires are burning and how they're increasing. So can you explain to us, in very simple terms, do farmers truly have no alternative, and why are farmers only in this part of the country burning stubble? Why not across the country?
Well, simple reason, because in this part of the country, the cropping pattern is so intensive that you have a short window. When I say short window, between the harvest of the paddy crop and the next sowing of the wheat crop, there is hardly 2 weeks or 3 weeks time that is available, in which the farmer has to harvest, dispose of the crop, and then get into the other operations for sowing the next crop. So that's a limited opening that the farmer has got. If you go to South India, it has enough opening, and then the farmers can take care of the stubble that they produce. That should be very clear. Having said this, I think that the reason for this is the politics that is being played around as far as stubble burning is concerned. I see no reason when the farmers, for at least 10 years that I know of, have been saying very loudly that we need to get an incentive to take care of this ourselves. If the state is willing to provide, let's say, 2,000 rupees or 2,500 rupees per acre as an incentive, farmers say they will take care of it, because let's not forget, we have 200 lakh tons of stubble being produced in Punjab. 200 lakh tons, imagine the volume.
How will they take care of it? I want to, if they get the money, they still have a short window. So what will they do?
Yes, because then they have the resources to at least bring the labor force or utilize the family labor to take care of it. Now, that's the point they are making, because their already remuneration is very low. Now, successive chief ministers have also talked about it to the government, but somehow the central government is not keen to provide that incentive, even though Supreme Court has asked the governments to provide farmers an incentive.
Okay, so then that's where the blame game begins. Kailash, Vastev ji, you know, the Supreme Court has intervened in this. They've given directions. The matter has gone to them. So much has happened. But there is just no action. The highest court of the land has done all it can to ensure that this problem is solved. Nothing happens on ground, sir.
Good evening. See, we are missing one very fundamental point. Punjab agriculture is based on irrigation. In 2009, an act was passed to preserve subsoil water. It is called the Punjab Preservation of Subsoil Water Act of 2009. Under this act, between the months of April, May, and June, the planting of paddy was prohibited, which was the old practice. Now, if you prohibit the planting of paddy between April, May, and June to preserve subsoil water, you also extend the period of the sowing of the paddy, which goes into June, July, August, and October. If you want to preserve water, you will have to face the consequences of the farmer wanting to plant his paddy, because paddy is a very good cash crop. 70% of the lands in Punjab are used for paddy growing because that is good money. Now take away this act of 2009 and you will find the farmer goes back to his old planting from April, May, and June. The cycle changes because then he gets time at the time of harvest in October, September, October, to cut the paddy by hand. When you cut it by machine, you leave a stalk which is 6 inches high. When you cut it by hand, you cut it ground levels. Now, these are proved researches which have taken place, including in cases against certain companies which are interested in this project. The problem is man-made. It is not a situation which can be avoided, because as long as this act stays in force, you're going to have this delayed planting and delayed harvest. Delayed harvest means the farmer is very keen, get rid of the stubble somehow or the other, and convert that into a cash crop called wheat. So the farmer gets it both ways. He makes his paddy a good cash crop. He uses wheat as a very good cash crop because both are very highly saleable grains. Governments have to realize if you have to preserve water, this is not the way to do it by changing the natural harvesting patterns. You change the harvesting patterns and we pay the price. Second aspect, insofar as the eastern plains are concerned from Punjab, that is starting Punjab, traveling down Haryana, traveling down Delhi, traveling into Uttar Pradesh and the like, the wind forces change in this season. They change directions because this is a preparatory season to the monsoons which come, the winter monsoons. So when the wind directions changes, everything comes into the plains. Agriculture has a natural cycle. We tinker with it, we tinker with lives. These are facts which have been brought to the notice of the government in proceedings in courts and outside. But no political party wants to interfere with this because of the vote bank of the farmers. Today we have a party which has taken hands, which was there in Delhi, now has extended its arms into Punjab. At the time, till last year, when the Punjab pollution used to come into Delhi in a very big way, it was this party which said that this is very unfair. Today they are in Punjab. What are they doing to stop it?
You know, this is the thing. It's man-made. It's politically backed. We have to face facts. No party wants to mess with the farmers. Let me just say it in no uncertain terms. Nani Jayasilan, does this make it near impossible to find a solution that works? Because then you go into things like the graded action plan, which doesn't seem to be working at any point. You go in for things like odd even. You go in for things like smoke towers, which have not shown any results.
Over the past 7 years.
Yes, Ms. Jayasilan, yes.
Yeah, everybody agrees that air pollution is an extremely complex phenomenon and is dependent on a large number of factors. It could be vehicular, it could be industrial, it could be residential, stubble burning. For the last 5 years, stubble burning has become a very important topic. And there is no single solution to the problem. But what does public policy like GRAP do it addresses the symptoms. It does not address the root cause. One of the root causes is for stubble burning is tinkering, as very correctly said, tinkering with the harvesting cycle. Now, unless we address the root causes, we are taking painkillers, which are temporary painkillers. The graph is like a temporary painkiller. It's symptomatic. You are not addressing the main problem. That is one. Number two is this whole issue of governance. We have a CKUM, which was formed. Now, the point is that all the powers under the Air Act and the Water Act vest with the state pollution control boards, or in the case of the UT, the state pollution control committees. Now, these have to be activated. They have to be strengthened by creating institutions, newer institutions. We are only making the earlier institutions redundant, and the new institution cannot fully take over the functions. Whereas the powers exist under the Air Act and the Water Act, with entirely the DPCC and the state pollution control boards. And a lot of power exists with the Central Pollution Control Board. Where is the CPCB in this whole debate? Have you heard anything about the CPCB in this entire debate?
I want to understand something. So, and I've been covering this for years, whoever you speak to. So, for example, the Punjab Chief Minister today says, why are you targeting Punjab? What about stubble burning in UP, Haryana, Rajasthan? The Delhi Chief Minister says, why has the Prime Minister not got everyone together? The Union Environmental Minister says, money has been given to, all states. Why are fires still burning? And, Dr. Trehan's finger also goes up. But I'll just take one point of view from Ms. Jayasilan. And I'm asking this from the point of view of viewers, because frankly, it's confusing. We're also getting stuck in this, which party is at fault, etc. But it seems like everyone has someone else to blame. How does it actually work? Who's in charge?
Without going into the politics of it, I have just one sentence to say. Which is the statutory agency to take action? It is the state pollution control boards. We have made them defunct. We seem to have been making them redundant. We create newer institutions rather than strengthening the earlier institution. As I said earlier, again, where is the DPCC in this debate? Where is the Punjab State Pollution Control Board in this debate? Where is the UP Pollution Control Board in this debate? When a large amount of authority vests with these power and authority vests with these boards under the various acts, what action was taken by them? They seem to, the officials of these organizations, if you go and ask them what they've been doing, they're saying we're running from one meeting to another meeting, running from one meeting to another meeting. What action do you expect us to take? So it's a case of the architecture of governance seems to have failed completely. And this is happening year on end.
Dr. Trehan, you wanted to come in? Yes, Dr. Trehan, you wanted to come in as a healer. When you see this kind of apathy, because at the end of the day, every authority believes they will not pay the price. They will get away with it.
No, I find this whole narrative very disturbing. Why don't you open up the debates that we had last year and the year before and the year before? Right. We were discussing the same old story and no action has been taken. And yes. I would say one thing only, that partly the public has to blame. We have to be blamed because we don't take enough action. We don't raise our voice enough to say our children are being hurt for life. Incidence of cancer is going up. People are getting sicker. Everybody is affected. But we can sit here and debate it, but no action taken. So unless the public rises and says, we will not let it happen because we cannot make our whole lives miserable for future, I don't think there will be action. We'll be debating it like this again and again and again. So it's time to call for action and enough opinions made, and so that everybody in the system understands that this is something which is intolerable. We know when it's coming. We know what the solutions are. Everybody said what the solutions are, but nobody is putting it together. So we have to insist that one person, one government takes it upon themselves that we should not suffer this malady again ever. So I could not put it in stronger terms. This is a devastating thing that we are living in a gas chamber, and not only us, we are subjecting it to our future generations, which are like you rightfully said, it's not only Delhi, it's a huge part of North India that is suffering from the same thing.
You know, and the other point to note, I know, Mr. Vasudev, you want to come in, and I'm coming right to you. I just want to make the point that the vulnerable and the poor are disproportionately affected, if we actually look at it very honestly. Because those who can afford to be inside their house with an air purifier, go into a vehicle where their air will be, you know, relatively secure, then go into a workplace where it will be clearer.
So one thing I suggest here, that people have to take it in their own hands and start wearing masks. We are used to them. In this terrible period, you wear an N95 mask, it will protect you, and your particulate matter will be arrested, and also some of the noxious gases will also not be able to will breathe in, especially for the children. And as far as schools are concerned, because most people in this area do not have air purifiers, so it doesn't matter, because their air inside their homes is also bad, but they go to school. But we must stop outside activity in school like sports and things like that. Otherwise, the children are getting more and more exposed and will suffer for life. So let the children wear
So let them
masks.
N95. So the N95 masks need to come back. Yes. Mr. Vasudev, I was coming to you on this point. Yes.
In the petitions filed in the court, I'm giving you the dichotomy of the situation.
Yeah.
Affidavits have been filed by the state of Punjab, by the state of Rajasthan, by the state of Uttar Pradesh, as also by the state of Haryana. 4 states which are responsible for stubble burning in this season. That the only way they can get rid of this is by getting grants from the government ranging between 4,400 and 9,600 crores. If money is going to be an answer to this problem, then very well, give them the money, let's see what they do. The fact is, the money will not be used for this purpose. It will be misappropriated, and no planned development for controlling this kind of pollution will take place. In Delhi, we have created the Eastern and Western Expressways, the corridors which avoid trucks from coming in. The Kanpur report says pollution by road pollution on account of road transport is less than 22%. 78% is other causes. None of the other causes are being addressed. Everybody screams cars, 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 trucks, 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 trucks. They are 22%, ma'am. 78% are other
But my
causes.
question, Mr. Vasudev, if this is 22%, why not do something about it? Because every component of pollution is saying we are very less. Yesterday, I was speaking to a builder who was saying, why are you shutting our construction? We are such a small proportion.
Construction, road dust, the stubble burning, smog are the larger components of this whole thing. Construction is one of the biggest contributors. Dust which collects on the road berms and flies when the vehicles pass is another very high contributor. I'm talking to you about these studies because as a amicus, I have dealt with all these problems. These facts are on affidavits by the governments. Nobody wants to address it because the considerations are different. They are not interested. They want to promote areas which will be their vote banks. Road construction workers, building workers, farmers, these are all vote banks today, ma'am. If you don't regulate these industries, bring about this, Dr. Trehan's prediction is right, we will be poisoning our future generation. We can't afford to do it. Politicians must realize politics is meant for the benefit of the people, not to destroy a system. We are destroying the system. And I use harsher words than what Dr. Trehan has used.
And do vote banks not have lungs?
They don't. That's what the politicians think.
You know, if this is about vote banks, who doesn't have lungs? It's ridiculous. Why some people think that they can be, you know, protected and not do anything about it. Devendra Sharma, I want to talk about the stubble burning part of it. That seems to be the big chunk of it at this time of the year. For a few days at least, when it coincides with the stubble burning, all chaos breaks loose. What do you think the way is forward? Because is it true that all politicians, all governments handle farmers with kid gloves. They're not willing to go the extra mile because it's a very unpopular decision politically.
Well, I think it has become fashionable to go for or pointing fingers at the farmers. Let me make it very clear. People who sit in their rooms and try to say that farmers are the culprits and they need to be brought under tougher regulations and rules, I think have no idea how difficult farming is. Please come down to the field and see how you can help farmers to take care of this crisis. You know, it's a societal problem. Society has to stand with farmers at this juncture. But, you know, just blaming farmers, bashing farmers is not the answer. Now, let me make it very clear. Farmers have been saying for last 10 years at least that give us that a small amount or incentive, we will take care of it. Now, if the government can provide that incentive, then you can blame farmers, and then you can hold farmers by the neck, or you can file FIRs against them if they don't take care of the problem. But they have been saying every time that we want to take care of the problem because nobody else can do it. 200 lakh tons is a huge volume. Neither the state nor the private industry can take care of it. So stop bashing the farmers and stop telling us that, because of the laws and so on. Let me tell you, from April to June, the law that has been changed is very clear. There was an agati crop being grown. That was the short duration crop that was grown earlier. That has been stopped. Otherwise, the water pullout was much more than what it is today. So then when we bring in the laws, earlier the sowing was in the early part of June. It has been postponed by 10-15 days to save more water. No, we know there are solutions technically by bringing in new varieties and so on. But what about the SUV cars? I would like to ask Dr. Trehan. SUV cars are the second most polluted, category in the world. Power is the first sector. But where has anybody talked about, getting this SUV cars or cutting down on SUV car sales?
Let me get Dr. Trehan to respond to that. 1 minute. I just want, but before you reply, Dr. Trehan, let me just say, I don't think I heard anyone bashing farmers. I don't think anyone is bashing farmers, but it's a valid point. A lot of times we're, blamed of elitism. So what about the SUV cars? Let me get Dr. Trehan to respond. Yes.
No, so Mr. Sharma, you had said earlier that the machinery had been provided, 1 lakh machines were provided for actually converting the stubble into fodder and other forms of energy. What happened? Is 1 lakh not enough? Are they being used, or they are just lying idle somewhere and nobody cares? You may have that knowledge, because we always worry that we thought that was the solution, this happy harvester that we talked about, that if the government provided enough of those, we could actually get rid of this problem. But it's never happened. Could you please shed some light on that?
Very right. Let me tell you, the Happy Seeder, Super Seeder, and there are 5 other machines that are being pushed on to farmers. Imagine a state which is already loaded with the machines is being now, pushed with more, or let's say being brought under pressure to buy more machines. Now, more machines is not the answer. The point that we are making is machines is not the answer. The answer is, investing in the human capital. And that is very important. Why are these state governments or the central
Can you explain,
government...
1 minute, Mr. Sharma, can you explain, are the machines not working? Are they not enough?
Do you know that these machines are only used for 2 weeks in a year? Do we know that? What will happen when they are lying there, just wasted for the rest of the period as far as the year is concerned? And after a period, we are becoming a junkyard. Punjab is turning into a junkyard.
No, I'm not understanding what the exact concern is. The machines are too expensive. Do they not work?
Let us all put pressure. Let us all build up that narrative that, we need to help the farmers. Farmers are saying we will take care of it if nobody else is able to take care of it.
That narrative is already there. But I'm not understanding why the machines are not working. Neni Jaiseelan wants to come in very quickly. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, what I want to say is that why is public policy always dictated by ad hocism and knee-jerk reactions? Happy Seeder is the solution for stubble burning. Such and such all of them are knee-jerk reactions. We seem to be attacking the symptoms, not the root cause. Yeah. And unless we attack the root cause, we are not going to find a solution. The only addition that has been made since all the 7 years of debate this year has been the formation of the CAQM. Is there any other addition that in governance or anything else that has been made? But we are back to square one. So therefore, unless you address those root causes, you're only going to give temporary painkillers for a particular duration of time, and the story will be forgotten. Not in a year's time, but probably, God willing, if it rains day after tomorrow, everybody would have still. The rain is the biggest.
All right.
The rain is the best scavenger available. But my point is that why are we not addressing the root causes in each and every part of pollution that, as I said, is very complex, vehicular, stubble burning.
Yes.
The
you need, and you know, Dr. Trehan is right when he says that if you pick up old debates, a lot of these things would sound repetitive. The only thing that's changing is that we are getting older, but the issues are the same.
All that is new is the formation of the CA.
Okay. I have to wrap now. I hope and pray we don't have the same conversation next year. I would love to talk to all of you again, but I hope this does not happen next year. That we don't wait till the last minute to figure out what to do. The point that Ms. Jaiseelan is making. Yes, Dr. Trehan.
No, but before it happens, if you
start
had started
today.
8 months ago, maybe the attention would be more concentrated.
Let's start from today to plan for, November and October of 2023.
No, but then it's forgotten in between. Public has short memories. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I'm saying that you should put it on your calendar that next year you're going to start this debate in August, not in October, November.
Well, we'll try and do our part. I hope everyone can do that part. Yes, Mr. Vasudev, very short response from you, please. I'm really out of time, but I don't want you to leave you without having your say.
It's very simple. Ms. Jaiseelan was in government. She was in this department. I wondered what she did at that point of time. Today, we are all upset about what is happening. But if government is not going to be governed by good principles of governance, this problem will never stop. We must, just a minute, ma'am, just a minute.
I don't think we should make it personal. Ms. Jaiseelan was not alone
I'm just
taking care of everything.
No, I'm not saying that she was. I'm saying that they were in government. If you are in government, then you should frame policies which you can implement.
Now, since you have mentioned her, I will have to, in all fairness, give her a chance to respond.
You must.
Very quickly, please. You will not believe how over I am. Yes.
If you don't allow the institutions which have the power and authority to deal with a particular problem, the problem will persist. And that's exactly what's happening today. The DPCC, the CPCB have become redundant. The officials from these organizations are running from meeting to meeting. They have no time for working at the ground level. And I fully agree with Mr. Vasudev. It's a failure of the architecture of governance, especially in the field of pollution. The CPCB was formed with all the powers.
Right. What is it doing? We haven't even heard from the head of the CPCB in all of this.
I'm asking is, where is CPCB in this debate?
Where are they? That's a fair question. Where are they? Can they come out and speak and tell us what they're doing? I will have to end it here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. Again, I reiterate, I hope we meet soon, speak soon, but we don't have this problem to discuss again next year. We can only hope. We'll take a very short break, but I'm back with a lot more. Don't go away.